Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Welcome to Hello Uglies, the Dragula recap show for Season 6, Episode 9, titled Dead by Daylight. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by the goddess of glitz, glamour, goth, gossip, and gore herself, the one, the only, Miss Lauri K. Roggenkamp. Hello, Laurian.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing very well. You know, Lauri and I just had a... Lauri and I had such a fascinating talk over on Just Between Us Ghouls that we had to do it twice. We did one, and then we were like, oh my god, we forgot to mention all this other stuff, and we did a second Just Between Us Ghouls, which you will be getting if you join at the executive tier and above over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Again, you can also just scroll up on your Apple Podcast app and pay like $6, or go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia and go. You don't sign up. You just go to the Just Between Us Ghouls collection, and you can just sign. I think it's, I don't know how much it is, like $10 or something like that, and you get the $15. I don't know what it is, but you get every Just Between Us Ghouls delivered straight to your
nice
phone. Yeah. So, like I said, guys, we really need the support. I think our public feed listeners think this is a lie or it's some sort of like hustle that I'm doing. Nope. And if you actually join at Patreon, you'll learn what's been going on with that. But before we even, that's for Patreon people, Lauri. This week, the ghouls stick their hands in a box filled with tarantulas and then walk the floor in their best homage to the video game series Dead by Daylight. In the end, Asia Consent is named the winner of the challenge, while the remaining 3 monsters are up for extermination. After a deadly game of dodge the paintball, Yuri was exterminated in the most unusual way. Lauri and K. Roggenkamp, any thoughts on that extermination challenge, and did the right queen get the chop?
You know, I will say that I felt like out of all the extermination challenges, this one, I mean, it did still seem producer heavy, but I felt like this one, they at least were showing like, oh, Yuri is not collecting as many coffins as everyone else. So
okay,
I felt like,
I have a thought on that.
I felt like maybe, and this could just be them saying that, you know, I don't know if that actually ended up being the truth, but at least there was a clear like, okay, Yuri didn't do as well. Now, do I think if Yuri had collected more coffins, she would have been sent home? Yes. So I don't think that I think no matter how you look at it, and the Boulet brothers brought up a good point, and I think this is where they stand as far as the season goes. They look at the whole arc of the season, which, to be honest with you, I don't think you should do. I think you should I think the arc of the season, that is at the end. That's the finale, in my opinion. I think when you are doing competition episodes, you need to go based off that episode. And I don't necessarily feel like Yuri was the worst of that episode. But they went by the arc of the season, and she was the worst out of everybody from the season. So, yeah, I do think she should have gone home.
I agree with a lot of what you say. You know, what's tricky about that is, you know, Drag Race does the same thing, but they are not necessarily. I mean, I do appreciate that the Boulets are honest about it, but you're right. Theoretically, they shouldn't, because they should do it the way you're talking about it. Because what if you come out and you're really good the first 3 or 4 episodes and you fall apart? Does that mean now that's going to like save you the rest of the season, or what does that mean?
Did you get pushed along?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that need to come in play when you're making these decisions. How kind of television are you making? Because ultimately this is a television show. how did you do on that one episode and how have you been this season? I think it's a whole soup that you have to consider. But you're right. I mean, look, it was the right thing to do in terms of, it was Yuri's time to go. She's not as strong as Asia Consent, or even though I will say this, and this is like a weird thing that I just noticed today, is because, I hired a ghost host.
Yes.
To
that's what you tell people.
No, it's the reality. And to read the looks. Now, I will, in full transparency, what I do is I take screenshots.
Yeah.
And I feed them to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT describes the look. I just give it to you. The ghost host is just like a voiceover guy, right?
I feel like I'm listening
ghost.
to the Belay brothers because all I'm hearing is lies. So
it's a voiceover ghost. Okay.
Sure.
And the reason I bring that up is when I was watching the looks, I noticed, I have to try and get as good of a shot as possible of the complete look. And this has been every week, speaking of an arc of the season, but every week, for the most part, everybody is very easy to get at least a shot of them. But there's one queen, it's very difficult to get a shot of her because she will not stop twirling and swirling and moving and grooving, is this Asia Consent. And I thought of this today. Yeah, I thought of this today. And I was like, I wonder if she does all that to hide the flaws in her outfits. Because we never really get a good look at their outfits. But I've noticed that the other ones, two good examples are like Auntie Heroine and Gray Matter. They will for sure, they want you to look at that look. They will pose and they will let you like get a good shot at their look. Asia's constantly with the arms and this twirling and like moving, and you're like, it's hard to get a good shot. And then that lighting. So anyway,
I mean, that was Jaharia. Jaharia, I felt like, was an amazing performer. Her looks weren't that great, and I felt like she went as far as she did because of her performance skills. Yeah. So maybe, Asia Consent sort of
Asia's
in the same boat.
looks conceptually are good, but maybe the execution is not as good, so she's trying to hide that. I don't know. This is all made up in my head. But the point is that it was Yuri's time to go. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I think anybody with half a brain after episode 1 or 2 knew, oh, well, the top 3 are going to be Asia, Auntie, and Gray Matter. And
also, to argue with my own point, even the Belay brothers said, which I agree with when they were deliberating, that they were hoping somebody would literally suck so bad that they wouldn't have to make a decision. It would be like if they were hoping Yuri or whoever, just did terrible. And then they were like, oh, okay, clearly Yuri should go home. Or whomever should go home, but nobody really did, and I agree. I felt like they all had good points, and so at that point, it's difficult to judge based off purely that competition. Also, are we talking about the extermination now, or just the extermination?
Yeah. Let's talk about the extermination, the challenge, the extermination itself. But before you get to the extermination, what did you think of that challenge?
I liked it. Look, like I said, I don't necessarily feel like it went the way they made it look. Like I felt like it still felt a little false to me. Yeah. However, I thought at least there was some action. There's some, there's some stuff, and there. Although I never, because like one of the reasons why I felt it was false, you never truly see them get hit with the paintballs.
And also, how would they know? Because everyone should know that. So there was a little, what you saw them, what they did, because a lot of people, in fact, most of the people that I know the people that I know personally who listen to this show do not watch the show. They just listen to our podcast. So what it was, the extermination challenge was they recreated a sort of like
a part of the game,
a part of the video game. And the queens had to go run through this thing, and there were tiny little coffins that were hidden around this, essentially a cardboard maze.
Yeah.
And they had to run around and try and get as many as possible, each coffin being worth a certain number of points.
And then if they got hit, while they're doing points would be taken away. If they got hit, points would be taken away from them.
So while they're doing this, they're also surrounded by a team of paintball snipers who are shooting at them with paintballs. And anytime they get hit, theoretically, they get 10 points taken away from them. What I find hard to believe is how would they know who got hit in the moment?
Yeah.
I could see later being
they
like,
were
okay,
deducting, they were deducting points based off who, like there was a scoreboard on the screen, not on this, but like on the TV. It was like nobody could see it in real time, but we could see it.
Yeah.
And it was like a chyron, and it showed them collect when they got a coffin and give them like 40 points. When they got hit, they got like I think 10 or 20 points taken off.
Yeah.
But like I said, it seemed to me to be the most extermination, like the most aligned with what they wanted the exterminations to be, which is that this show, they have to get a certain number of coffins. Whoever gets the most coffins, won't be sent home, sort of thing. Yeah. And that was sort of the way that they acted about it. And Yuri didn't get as many coffins. Now, again, I personally don't think that that's true. We don't know. We'll never know. I don't think we truly know. And also, I think if Yuri got all the coffins, she'd still be going home.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. But I felt like it was the most, and what's frustrating is I felt like this would have been a great first episode extermination. Mm-hmm. And then it could have set the stage for more of these, but I felt like it is what it is. Now
let's talk about the extermination. So what happens is now the scene opens up with Yuri just sort of shivering. Their timelines never make sense.
Yes.
Because what happens is she's shivering in like the little part of a soundstage, and you hear Swan over a microphone doing the end, basically speaking the end of the final judgment. So when she's sending them back to the cauldron is what you hear. But then Yuri is shivering in the corner. But they're making it seem like they're right next to each other. And I was like, I don't even think they're in the same day. Like, I don't even think they were. But I will say, I genuinely love this extermination. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was very funny. Most of the exterminations have been kind of lazy.
Yes.
Right? And this one was a little bit more. It actually reminded me of the old ones. It was a little bit more cinematic. Yes. So Yuri is cowering in the corner of a soundstage, and all of a sudden she sees the shadow of Dracmortis Boulay.
Yeah.
And Dracmortis like, "Oh, hi, Yuri. Hi, Yuri." And she's like, "Hi." And she's like, "Are you going to kill me?" And she goes, "Kill you? Why would I do that? No, that's a joke. You're free to go."
That's not real. That's what we say on the TV show.
Yeah, it's just something we say for the TV show. Go ahead. You can leave. Bye.
But then my favorite, so I have a bunch of favorite parts. One of my favorite parts is at the beginning, she goes, "You can go." And then there's just like a minute of silence.
Yeah, they just stare at
and
each other.
And they just stare at each other. And then Jack Warner goes, "Sweetie, nothing's going to happen to you. You can go. You're free. You're free to go." And so she just walks away. And she's just like, "Oh, okay." And then another thing I loved was she gets that lipstick out and she goes, "Oh, wrong show." And she's about to put it on the mirror.
Oh, yeah. They did a lot of nods to Drag Race. Yeah. So.
And the whole time she's just like, "Oh, I feel so free and full of life."
Yeah. So Yuri gets up and then she slowly walks back to her room, and then they play this happy music and she takes her costume off. I think they actually showed probably what really happens.
Yeah. I think this is the first one where we see like she knew she was going home. I think she.
No, but I mean, like, what probably really happens to the queen. So what happens? She goes back, she packs up her shit. I don't know about the white van part. That's probably just to make fun of Drag Race. But she walks out of the studio, and this crew is there clapping for her.
They have
as she
flowers.
goes. I could see them, and flowers. I could see them doing that in real life.
I can see that.
Yeah. And she hugs them and kisses them and goes back, and she's so happy, and she packs her stuff, and we see her at the airport.
But even more than we see her at the airport, we see her check in. We see her put her pillow as she's about to board the plane.
Yeah.
And then we see the plane flying over, and she's like, "Oh, I have my whole life ahead of me." And then boom, the whole plane explodes.
Yeah, it does. And what's funny is I know it's very clever. Then I was like, imagine you're the other people on this plane. So the Boulets just murdered everybody on this airplane.
Yes. I thought that was funny. I thought that was my favorite of the whole. I liked it. I thought it was very funny.
Humble Pie said that I predicted this, and I'm like, when? I don't remember predicting anything like this.
I thought she was saying you predicted the fright feat.
Oh, I did?
Well, that's what I thought you said on the phone, but she's saying you predicted the exterminate. I don't remember. Pie. Look, Humble Pie has a better memory than either of us. Yeah. So
I might have said it last week, and I don't remember.
If she says it, I believe her. I believe her more than I believe myself.
No, I believe her. I'm just trying to remember what I said.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I said.
Can I tell you a side story that just reminded me?
Sure.
We had my brother's celebration of life this last Sunday. And so many people came up to me and be like, I remember when you and Billy were kids. And then they tell me some story, and I'd be like, I have no freaking memory of that whatsoever. Like, I don't remember that in any way, shape, or form. I was like, oh, you could. And every story, Joe, you're going to be shocked. Every story was about how I was loud and annoying. And my brother was just like, oh, brother. I got to deal with this lady. And it was like, none of the stories were like, you guys were so sweet to each other. It was always like, you guys fought a lot. Like, we were shocked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, we used to fight so much when we were kids.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
part.
we were, because we're just both very stubborn people. So.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Two of you? Oh, my God. All right. Well, on that note, we'll be back right after this.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Hey there, Joe here. It feels like every celebrity out there has access to these GLP-1s for weight loss. Those weekly injections everyone's talking about. But what about the rest of us? That's where Hers comes in. They're changing women's healthcare with affordable weight loss treatments made just for you. Through Hers, you'll get access to personalized solutions like GLP-1 weekly injections featuring the same active ingredients as Ozempic and Wegovy and oral medication kits. A licensed medical provider will create a tailored plan tailored to your needs, and if prescribed, you'll receive ongoing care and online support at no extra cost. And here's the best part. Hers makes it affordable. No hidden fees, no memberships, just support to help you hit your goals. Plus, everything ships free right to your door. So if you're ready to take control of your weight loss journey, start your free online visit today at forhers.com/crime. That's forhers.com/crime for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/crime. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
With Lululemon, the real gift happens when they're living in it. When you give the fan favorite everywhere belt bag, the real gift is... And when the ultra-soothing Rest Feel slides are the gift, you're really giving them... This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to give little luxuries that go beyond. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
And we are back. After the extermination, the remaining monsters debate whether Pie or Auntie will come back through the door. Later, Auntie Heroine walks in triumphantly and describes the extermination process to the contestants. Yuri opens up and compliments Auntie Heroine, and that opens up a space between them. So little happened here that I actually wasn't going to put a discussion point here. Usually I'd bundle it with some other things, but so little happens in this episode that I thought we would actually just talk about this here and move on to other things. Any big thoughts here about anything that happened after the extermination, Lauri?
I just really don't like Auntie Heroine. This whole episode has made me go, I don't, honestly, if Auntie Heroine wins, I don't know if I can continue watching Dragula. That's how much I dislike Auntie Heroine.
It's so funny that you say that. We're not at the cauldron yet, but she's always kind of just annoyed me, low-key, low-grade annoyance.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But her behavior in the cauldron, which, by the way, the editors and producers don't seem to agree with us, I thought was atrocious.
It was,
and I was
so
like, wait,
bad.
This is a horrible human being.
She's awful, and she's always like, we'll get to it. The thing she says, not in the cauldron after the voting, but the way she acts throughout this whole episode was just like, she's acting like she's already won the crown. And I'm like, bitch, like, I hope she comes in third. I hope she comes in the last of them, because I can't stand her.
I know this is early to predict, but at this point, I'm almost thinking it's either Asia Consent or Gray Matter.
Look, I don't like Auntie Heroine. I don't want her to win. The judges love Auntie Heroine. So if we're going based off the judges, she's still a big contender.
No, she is.
So
I agree with that.
I personally, I like Gray Matter, but I personally would love for Asia Consent to win. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like she has more character in her, and performance in her. But I mean, Gray Matter's been really good too. So I would be a fan. I would be happy if Gray Matter won. I just am picking Asia Consent, but yeah, I really want Auntie Heroine to lose.
I don't really have much to say about this moment. I didn't really think a lot happened. The whole, like I said, we've run into a problem in that the interesting people have gone.
Yes.
And you would have thought they would have just kept Pi around just for that very reason. But so they try to manufacture this thing where Yuri compliments Auntie Heroine, and Auntie Heroine is moved beyond any thoughts of anything normal.
Also, like, what's super weird is Yuri gives like a general, like, she says what I felt like was an honest thing, was like, I think you're really great. I really enjoy your looks, which is very sweet, right?
Yeah.
And Auntie Heroine's like, I don't think you have much longer in this competition. But, and like basically saying like, I think you're going to go, but as we've gotten to, and you're the person I've spoken to the least, but as we've gotten to know each other, which is like, what? Like, you literally just said you hadn't gotten to know her. Basically what she's trying to pretend to say is she's trying to say that now that they've gotten to know each other, she appreciates her more, right? And when in reality, the truth is, because Yuri just complimented her, she now likes her.
Yes,
that's
100%.
It's not got nothing to do with them getting to know each other more. Yeah. It's the fact that she gave her a compliment. Because we'll see later when Yuri calls her out, immediately Auntie Heroine's like, "Why are you hating on me?"
Yeah. All right, for this fright feat for the last fight. Hold on, let me do this right. For the final fright feat of the season, each of them must stick their hands in a tank of tarantulas and pull out a Dead by Daylight game cartridge. In the lab, Auntie Heroine scares the other contestants with creepy facts about tarantulas before Israel walks in carrying the box of tarantulas. Each of them, there was no winner for this. It was just like, if you didn't do it, you would go home. Which
immediately.
You never would do it.
Yeah.
Each of them accomplishes the task, and they move on to the main challenge. For this week's main challenge, the creatures must conceptualize and create a character based on an urban myth for the video game Dead by Daylight. They must also come up with a signature kill move. In the lab, the ghouls get to work on their outfits. It's floor show day, and the ghouls get ready to walk the stage. Later, Auntie Heroine walks 3 steps to Yuri's table to get to know her. That was weird, too. She goes, I've been working a lot. I'm going to take a break. Walks literally, if it's even 3 steps. Like, Yuri's table is directly behind hers. And goes, hi, what's going on? How you doing?
So, and now that I've said all this hate about Auntie Heroine, I will say, when she gets up and stretches and goes over to I don't know if it's just because she isn't wearing her beanies, she doesn't have her nose ring in, or what, but I found her very attractive in that moment.
Lauri called me.
I had to call you because I was so shocked by it. I was like, oh, she's attractive. So that's it.
I was like, is she still lesbian? Star called me. She was very concerned.
I told Star we might have to put a hold on the wedding.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to say. Even their conversation was boring. They just weren't. And by the way, this is not a fault of Dragula. It's just a fault of these kinds of competition shows. Drag Race, even in the best seasons ever, is like this. When you get down to this episode, they've just done everything they can do. There's nothing left in the tank. I will give the Boulets this during their little, side conference after the floor show. They're like, I'm done. I'm toast.
I like Drag Bar. I will say those deliberations have been my favorite this whole season. But Drag Barda was like, usually I've lost my shit at episode 9. And it's like, I get that. I've lost my shit at episode 9. It was just basically the same milquetoast stuff we heard before, which is just Auntie Heroine was basically saying like, hey, I'm glad to see you coming out of your shell and opening up, which is just really code talk for thanks for giving me that compliment. Now I like you, you know, but then also again follows it up with, I just still don't think you have what it takes to make it in this like.
And by the way, what she does is we've seen this before. I believe there's a similar moment with Auntie Heroine and Gray Matter about the alcoholism. But she goes on there and trauma dumps on these people.
Yes.
And then when they're talking, you can tell she is just not even listening.
She's not even,
She's not even present. She's not holding a space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity for them.
No.
Like, that's probably the problem. She probably is. She's been holding the space.
It's taking up too much energy to hold space for Defying Gravity.
Yeah. Exactly. She's, they're talking and she's just, in her brain, she's just like, gravity. She's just singing the song. Yeah. So, anyway, any other thoughts on this moment before we go to the floor show? Before we bring in the ghost host?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, Lauri, obviously, we'll probably use the ghost host for the finale, I imagine. He'll be, in fact, probably be the busiest he's ever been. But
that's true.
But for the final regular time this season, here we go. The ghost host.
Step right up, dear listeners, and behold Auntie Heroine's nightmarish masterpiece, a demonic predator straight from the depths of hell. This creature boasts massive leathery wings that spread wide to cast a shadow of dread. Its spiked, armored carapace gleams with fiery crimson hues, and its serpentine tail coils menacingly, ready to strike. With gnarled horns crowning its monstrous head, and a spiked club for a hand, this terror is the embodiment of fear, an infernal hunter ready to haunt your darkest dreams.
Okay, Lauri and K, Roggenkamp. That was Auntie Heroine. Any thoughts there?
I thought from far away it looked good, but when you get up close, it just looks very cheesy. Like it's very cheap looking.
Yes, 100%.
And so that's for me, honestly, I thought this was the worst one, but I could be encouraged by my dislike of Auntie Heroine, but I thought this was I didn't like this look that much.
I think I agree with you because I actually did not dislike Yuri's look, but you're right because in the cauldron you get a really good look in the cauldron at these outfits, and it's almost like, and maybe this is why they do the lighting that they do, is you're like, oh, it's kind of like when you see like a haunted house with the lights on. Like you see all the cracks and the crevices and the tape and the spit that they've used.
Yes.
And it wasn't holding up to that once you're in like lighting where you can see what's going on.
I will say though, when they first went out, when she first came out, I thought, oh, that does look good. But then when they did the close-ups, and one of the things I think is a detriment to the queens in general is how long they take on their outfits. I feel like when you get too much time to look at it, you're like, oh, that doesn't look good, or that doesn't look good, Yeah. So
100%. All right, here we go. Asia Consent.
Gaze into the abyss, mortals, and tremble before Asia Consent's bone-chilling beast. Draped in fiery red armor and bristling with matted fur, this horned monstrosity stalks the night with a glowing spectral core pulsing at its chest. Twisted antlers claw at the heavens, while its clawed hands grip a gnarled staff that seems to channel unspeakable power. A walking nightmare of primal rage and arcane terror, this creature emerges from the shadows to feast on your fear.
All right, Lauri, that's Asia Consent. Any big thoughts on that?
I liked it. I thought it was a good outfit. I thought she did a great job. Yeah, I would say a thrill for me.
It's kind of a corollary to what we said with Auntie Heroine is I think the lighting on the floor did her a disservice because it seemed kind of washed out on the floor show. But when you saw it in the cauldron, like, oh, there's a lot more color and detail to this look that we didn't see on the floor show. You know?
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, next, let's go to Yuri. Here we go.
Listeners, beware, for Yuri's chilling siren of the shadows slithers into your nightmares, draped in a tattered mermaid-style gown that flows like cursed seaweed. This creature stalks with elongated spindly claws that whisper promises of death. Its jagged back spines and piercing vampiric gaze signal a predator that preys on fear itself. With a feral snarl and an unholy elegance, Yuri's creation is the embodiment of gothic terror, luring you to your doom.
All right, well, that's Yuri. Lauri, did you have any big thoughts on Yuri?
I liked it. I thought it was really good. I think she's, up close. I think one of the things that I thought was about her that I thought different about Auntie Heroine was she's really good at performing. She's got great facial expressions. I thought she did an amazing job. She contorts her body really well. So, I mean, I thought she did amazing.
Very good. I agree. I thought she looked really good. I thought now the one thing I will say, and I don't really know the Dead by Daylight game series. Maybe it wasn't really a fit for that game series, but in terms of the look itself as a look, I thought she looked quite good. I mean, the Boulets were using this as a criticism, but they said that she infringed on their copyright. I'm like, yeah, I think that's a testament to how good she looked. All right, here we go. Final one, Gray Matter.
Listeners, brace yourselves for the savage fury of Gray Matter's feral fiend. Part goat, part nightmare, this beast prowls on massive hoofed legs, its sinewy body dripping with raw power and menace. Its face is a macabre mask of horns and crimson streaks, while wild tufts of fur and a grotesque dripping beard add to its primal horror. Armed with a jagged staff, topped by a skull, this woodland terror is a twisted shepherd, herding its victims straight to their doom.
All right, very good. Lauri, any thoughts on Gray Matter?
I thought it was good. I don't know if it'll hurt her in the end that she does a lot more masks, but I mean, they're still great. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, I thought she did great, and she's always a good performer, even though she doesn't necessarily bring it personality wise and outside it. She really showcases a lot in when she's doing when she's on stage.
I feel like a lot of those people, like who do costumes, are kind of like that. They were like really shy outside of the costume, but they get in the costume and all of a sudden they come to life when they're behind it. I could totally see that. All right. In the final judgment, Asia Consent is named the winner of the challenge, while the other queens are up for extermination. In the cauldron, Asia Consent celebrates her third win, while the other girls discuss the extermination challenge. Auntie tells Yuri she's not top 3 material, and Yuri defends herself against the attack. I'm going to stop right here. Let's talk about this. I thought what's really weird is Auntie essentially comes for Yuri.
Yes.
Yuri fights back, and then Auntie's like, "Why are you saying this for me?"
She does that all the time, though. What I love is she's always saying that I've had to overcome so many abusive people and gaslighters.
Yeah.
It's like, bitch, you're the biggest gaslighter there is.
True.
Like, she always comes for people, and then when they say anything against her, she goes, I don't understand why you're attacking me. It's like, bitch, you're the one who came for me. And
exactly.
Yuri's just too nice of a person to where she's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for it to come. I would have been like, I'm glad your feelings are hurt. They should be. You suck as a person. And
I would have fought back. I would have gotten really ugly. But then the thing is, though, they have in the confessionals, Gray and Asia are like, Asia's kind of like, I kind of like the drama, but Gray's like, I can't believe Yuri's behaving like this.
Yeah,
and blah,
like,
blah, blah, blah.
But then I also, Asia said something like, Auntie Heroine's just coming, just throwing whatever she can so she can stay in the competition. I'm like, again, these cauldrons don't matter in the in the competition. Like, you justifying or saying somebody else isn't supposed to be here is not going to sway the judges one way or another. So you coming for Yuri has no impact on their decision whatsoever. You coming for anyone has no impact on their decision. Honestly, the only thing I think that's ever happened out of that cauldron is that when Pi said that she would be in the next extermination, they were like, all right, we'll put you in the next extermination, you fucking dumb bitch.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I was so frustrated with Auntie Heroine in this because it was just like, there was no point. Why would you come for her like that?
And no, you know what? I'll do this in the final thought. Remind me in the final thought to do a recap. Here we go. For this week's Extermination Challenge, the monsters must participate in a life-size version of Dead by Daylight. They must make their way through the set and attempt to collect tiny coffins for points, all while being pelted by paintballs. As the ghouls make their way through the challenge, we see their points on the screen. For this week's Extermination, Yuri is ready to be murdered, but Dracmorda appears and tells her that it was all a joke and that Yuri's free to go. Yuri happily packs up her belongings and gets in a van and drives to the airport. She's really excited to have made it out alive, but when we see her airplane, it blows up in the sky. Lauri, any final thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, Auntie Heroine is just the worst. I mean, and then also, just to recap, you said you were going to recap, but just to go over that argument again.
Yeah.
She literally says right before Yuri talks, she's saying how much she wants to go to the final three. Mm-hmm. And Yuri just agrees with it. She goes, yeah, I really feel like I deserve to be in the final three. And then Auntie Heroine goes, well, you should be thinking about the final three. That might be a good goal for some people, but you should be thinking about winning. And I'm thinking about winning. It's like, no, bitch, you literally said you wanted to be in the final three like 30 seconds ago. And so I just, it was so frustrating to me. And Yuri's just too nice. I was like, you're too nice, but whatever. She didn't deserve it.
Now that we are in the final episode before the finale, so pretty much everyone should know, at least for a brief amount of time, this crew packs up. People go home. They're done with this principal part of photography. They're going to come back. I don't know how long they came back afterwards to do the finale. Maybe they do it all in one. I'm assuming, though, there was some sort of break. But they come back and do the finale. But otherwise, it's done storyline-wise, because the story in the next episode is just going to be getting ready for the episode. There's going to be no story. And so let's take a look at all the different check-off guns that we've ignored. The Alliance never meant anything.
Yeah.
Majesty hearing two people say that Aurora Gosmic broke the NDA, went nowhere.
And we're not having a reunion, so we'll never find out about it.
They implied, but I don't believe anything that they said.
Well,
but they'll do a reunion later, maybe.
I was saying that I could definitely see them coming out and saying, like, we're not doing a reunion, we're doing a resurrection. And it's like, okay. Like, you know what we mean.
I think that they mean after the new year, probably in January. If you remember last year, they started a little later and they pushed the show. The show, remember they got to episode 8, like mid-December, and then they just did the last 2 episodes in January.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking sometime mid-January there'll be some sort of reunion.
Okay, I could see that.
But if they have one. But the point is,
but then also like, we're acting like the reunion is going to be where all the answers come from. There's never been a reunion where any answers have been had.
Yeah. Well, Drac does sort of address that during their little conference and says that because of the fans that the contestants get really scared to say anything,
Yeah.
And I can understand that. But the point is that, like, they set up all these storylines that never paid off. I was telling Lauri earlier, I got to find it. I do know on their podcast, I remember I saw this on Reddit, I got to find this, that on their podcast that they said coming up later in the season, like at episode 9 or close to the episode number might have been speculation on the Redditors' part, but that later in the season, one of the front runners would make a fatal mistake. And I never saw any of the front runners make a fatal mistake. Even Pi, who was a front runner,
I think it's Pi. I think it's Pi saying that she would go on the bottom.
Oh, you know what, Lauri? You're right. That's exactly what it is. What a lame fatal mistake.
Yes.
That's right. I think you're exactly right. I think that's exactly what it is. That Pi said she wanted to be put up for extermination or get the curse or something like that.
Yeah.
And she got her wish and then she went home. Interesting. All right, I'm going to buy into that. All right, well, do you have anything else, Lauri?
Honestly, I will say this one last thing. Sorry. It kind of makes me want to play that game. Just to see what that game is like.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what you reminded me of? So, when they do these reactions when they're playing the video, so, they have a video where the Boulets come out and they go, this is what the game is, and we've talked about this before, where every time they say what the challenge is, even though they brought the outfit for this challenge, they act super surprised by this. And so they go, it's Dead by Daylight. And the girls go, oh my God. And they're freaking out, right?
Yes.
Now, I do believe Asia Consent legitimately does play this game. And I think that helps her win,
yes,
because she clearly knows the game, plays the game. But they clearly played with the reactions in this, because later the Boulets say, as part of your prize, you're going to get your costume, your outfit is going to be turned into a skin that you can play in the game along with your final kill. And that they'll be at the contest, whoever wins will be joined by the Boulet brothers, who will be the first in-game host of the show, and that their characters will be there as well. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And they go to a reaction shot for the queens. They cut in the reaction to Asia hearing that the winner will be in the game and whatnot, because when the Boulet, because then they show that reaction, then they say the Boulet brothers go, and then your new hosts, the Boulet brothers. And the queen's like, oh my God. And like Asia is legitimately fanning herself, and she says quietly to whoever's next to her, I think I'm going to cry. Why would Asia Consent cry because the Boulet brothers are going to be in the game?
I mean, if you want to go big with it, it could be that it's, they're drag queens. So it's the first time that like a video game has, potentially featured drag queens in a video game. So you could go big with it, but...
Yeah, but my conspiracy is she was really excited by the prize and really wanted to win it.
Yeah.
That's why she was going to cry. I thought that she could be in the game.
You brought up something that I totally forgot, is that the one thing... I actually liked this episode. I thought there were some funny moments.
Yeah.
The lamest part, in my opinion, of the entire episode was when the queens had to do their final kill. And it was all just them imitating with their hands, just like, eh.
Yeah.
they like, one of them like snapped somebody's neck, and it's just them, nobody there, just them imitating with their hands. I was just,
wasn't one of them, they just took their staff and just struck it into the ground or something?
A lot of them were just very lame. All of them.
Yeah.
No, there was no final kill that I was like, oh, that's cool. But I think also they didn't do them any service, because they didn't have anybody there. So they just had to pretend. Their final kill is you killing somebody in a very interesting way. And they were doing it to nobody. Nobody was there. They couldn't even at least have somebody stand in so they could pretend to kill them.
No, Lauri, they couldn't.
Oh, it was so stupid. But yeah, that was...
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week.
Eh.
Oh, yeah. Like they broke their neck.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Hello Uglies. Be sure to join us next week as we discuss, dissect, and deconstruct the grand finale of Dragula season 666. So for Lauri and K, Roggenkamp, and myself.
So long, Uglies!
Thank you for listening to Hello Uglies. Have something to say? Leave us a message at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. For access to more LGBTQ content and other Afterthought Media shows, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Hello Uglies is an Afterthought Media podcast.